Welcome back to the Lesson Lab, the show that equips teachers with time-saving grading strategies and meaningful lessons that create a lasting impact on teachers and students in the classroom. We scaffold these lessons every week and we run each assignment through the gauntlet and a reflection. The reflection is a 5-point checklist that ensures we are meeting our goals. And we're saving time, of course. So our reflection points are: number 1, recap the assignment. Not too much time though. Number 2, student examples: the good, the bad, the ugly. Number 3, did we meet the goal or not? Number 4, what would I change next time, if anything? And number 5, what's next? How are we scaffolding this for the next assignment? So the first assignment that we're running through the reflection today is the first assignment that we cover on the last episode, which is the high fives. This is a rubric that I use to assess every presentation that we do. And what we wanted to do with this high fives lesson is to teach the students also how to assess themselves. So when they do a presentation and they do their videos, and even when they're practicing to create presentations and present them, they need to know how they can be good, because it's not just about the grade. It's about being able to learn the skills to be able to present well. So the high fives consists of eye contact, where you look at the people you're talking to, novel idea. Volume, sometimes high, low, depending on what you're trying to emphasize. Body language, how you use your arms, your body, your space, even facial expressions. We also talk about communication clarity. So speaking fast, speaking slow. Is your speaking smooth or choppy? Again, with a focus on emphasis and how you do it. And then the last thing is personality, being your true self, even on stage, whatever that looks like, just take it up a notch. So our high fives doubles as the rubric. So whenever they are graded, they'll get point values for each category, and they can go back and say, oh, I got 20 points. So I got perfect on eye contact, or I got 18 or 15 or 12 points. So they'll know in each category what they could do better and how they did. For this assignment, I had the students rather, take the high fives, and they had to watch a video called How to Sound Smart in the TED Talk by Will Steven, who is a comedian. So the whole point of this video is he's basically talking through what he's doing. He's not actually giving you information. So he's saying, oh, I'm shifting my glasses to look smart, even though they're just frames in them. I am going to look to the left. I'm going to look to the right. I'm going to give you a personal anecdote. And then you're going to laugh. And then the people laugh in the crowd. So he's really kind of talking through the steps of what people do in TED Talks. It's really almost like a parody. But I wanted them to see what he was doing very specifically and then grade him based on the rubric. So if I were to give a good to this, I had a student who broke it down in every section, which is what I asked for. So in terms of volume, they said when the speaker is excited or is making a valid point in his speech, he talks slower, makes his voice more prominent. This helps keep the audience engaged in the speech instead of speaking in one volume, which will be boring. So she's talking about having that monotone voice all the time, which is something that you have to work on, being able to inflect, right? Create some emphasis using your tone. I had another one, and this was just like, okay. They talked about voice. The example that they said was his voice projected loud enough for the whole audience to hear. Short, sweet. Would I take points off of that? No, not really, because it's just important that they're able to watch the video and assess based on the bullet points that's in the high fives. So this is not something that I would spend a ton of time grading. And I feel like we definitely met our goals based on this example, because most of the kids can watch a presentation and go, okay, did they speak loud enough? Was their phrasing choppy? Did they look nervous? Did they use their hands in their presentation? Did they look down? Did they look up? Right? These are all things that we can all really see easily. Like, you know, a good presentation when you watch one, when you hear it, but actually doing it takes some practice and some preparation, and that's why we're here. So recap done, examples done. Did we meet the goal? Absolutely. And then what would I change next time? I think we can extend this learning by allowing students to find their own speeches, which would be the next step. I've done that before, where they had to go find a famous speaker analysis. That's what it's called. That's kind of hit or miss, depending on where they pick one, right? Because if we're doing a movie, of course, those speeches are going to be good unless they are purposely bad because of character or plot, something like that. So I feel like it's more important to give them more time to practice these skills. So that's one assignment that I took out, but could definitely be reworked to be put in so that students are able to watch more videos and assess. You could have them do their own speeches privately and assess people, like just have their friend do something really quickly for 30 seconds. You could also give them specific parts of the rubric. So if we're using body language, for example, have them tell a story with only body language, right? So that they can kind of master those skills that are on that worksheet as well, because it also gives the physical behaviors that align to each high five. So if you wanted to extend the learning or change something or add to it, that's a really easy way to do that. What's next as far as this assignment and how it scaffolds, I will talk about that after I talk about the speech outline, which is our next reflection. So the speech outline is built in 3 columns. And you can find both of these worksheets on the Teachers Pay Teachers website. Just search Tony Rambles. It's built in 3 columns, and the column on the left is all about the actions. So your directions, rather. The column in the middle is there for them to write in what they want to do. And then the column on the right is all about physical behaviors. So we start with an attention getter, a linking statement. Then we move on to basically the body paragraph of our speech, where we start to give our main points and then support it with different statements. And then lastly, we have what's called a signpost, where you say, as I come to a close, as a result, in conclusion, these things signal to your audience that the speech is coming to an end. So, and then we give the lasting impression. So all of this is on the outline. And now let's look at some examples. The really good thing about the outline is that it is so structured to where, it almost just holds the student's hand step by step to be able to get them to know what to do next, what to put where. And if something is missing, it's really easy to spot. So one of the very good students I have, they had like 2 tracks that they were going through with their attention getter, which is the most important part of a presentation. Because if you can't get people's attention, you're toast. You are so done, you don't have a chance. So they actually, because I say you can use a video, a quote, a poem, a joke, almost whatever you need in order to be able to get people's attention. So this person wrote, they wanted to show a clip of a movie, Still in the Moon. Okay. But they also wrote, or this question. So did any of you know that last night was a super blue moon? Either one of those could work. I think videos are always going to be a little bit stronger because it breaks up the monotony of just looking at a person talk. But you don't always have the capability to show a video. So it's very good that this person had these 2 different tracks that they could use in case one didn't work. And so the linking statement was, like Gru from Despicable Me, Humans have long seen the moon as something fascinating, and I am one of those people. Or maybe you noticed the moon shining a lot brighter or being the second full moon you saw in August. How many of y'all know what a super blue moon means? Right? So they're starting with asking a couple of questions, or we got the movie clip, which they're referring to with the person stealing the moon. And then now tying that to, I'm actually one of those people who are fascinated with the moon as well. And then so their thesis would be, or is rather, today we will be discussing a few different kinds of moons I think everyone should know at least a little bit about. So they go on to talk about a super moon. They also have a blue moon. What else is here? Right? They talk about all these different moons. Okay, but the introduction I think is very strong, and they left themselves with options. So now another one. This person wrote about birth rates. Now this is a point where I would say, know your audience. How does this connect with your audience? And now we're talking about, at this point, high school kids. So their opening line is, did you know India is now the most populated country in the world? Is that a strong opener? Not exactly. Does it fulfill the requirements? Yes. I would say from here, you got to be real strong going into your linking statement, because this person goes on to talk about everywhere in the world, birth rates are declining, but first world countries started the trend before everybody else. So just talking about how people don't want as many kids. And then I'm sure as we go on, they talk about why and husbands and marriage and all of that kind of stuff. So does it fulfill the requirements? Absolutely. But this is one of those that's kind of towing the line, because you got to know your audience. And I don't think high school kids want to talk about, birth rates. So the student examples, I think for the most part, were good. Did we meet the goal? Definitely. Kids or students understand what it means to be able to write an attention getter, and then to have a linking statement, and then to use your thesis to open up your presentation. But of course, what would I change next time? I would add a piece here about relevance. So how relevant is this topic? How will you make it relevant to your audience? And so what's next after talking about the high fives in the speech outline is going to be our first presentation. So first presentations are typically something easy, like something about you, all about me, or sometimes all about we is where you talk about somebody else. And of course, I will cover that presentation here on the next episode. So before we get out of here, remember, you can get these resources from this episode and others on the Teachers Pay Teachers website. If you just search Tony Rambles, of course, I'll have the links to both the Teacher Pay Teacher website as well as my Facebook group called Teacher Triumphs, where we help teachers through classroom burnout, because that's something that a lot of us are struggling with. So tons of teacher resources here. Let's keep the conversation going there. Until next time, keep teaching, keep learning, and I will see you all on the next one.